Hi, this is Landon Taylor, founder and chief vision officer for the Wealth Triangle, and I want to welcome you to part one of a multi-part blog series that I'm doing on the topic Purposeful Productivity. Now, this blog series was inspired after I began going through a new peak performance program called Insane Productivity that was created and released by my good friend Darren Hardy, the publisher of Success Magazine, CEO coach, and the author of an amazing book called The Compound Effect. And so I decided to bring you along with me on this journey. I'm going to go through all 12 modules of his program and provide commentary seasoned with my own experiences as well as thoughts from and insights from some of the world's most incredible thinkers in our history. So come along. Now, to set the stage, I want to share with you a big prediction that I have. Human development will prove to be the industrial revolution of the 21st century. Now, do you remember the first industrial revolution? Well, that was back in 1760 is when it began, and it ranged from 1760 to 1820. During that industrial revolution, there was a transition from hand production, right, to machines. The assembly line was born, and workers were valued and rewarded for taking and carrying out orders as a collective. So there was no real need for individual creative thinking. But in the new industrial revolution of the 21st century, it's all about the individual, right? Creative, original thinking is everything. The ability to create new innovations and improvements is the difference maker. And so the promise for you and I is that there's never been a greater time to leave a lasting impact on the world with the work that we do as individuals. See, we've entered the era of the individual. And in order for you to win in this new area, there's something that you have to develop and that I have to develop. And I call that something purposeful productivity. So not only do we need to grow in our own personal output, but we need to be able to be focused. Because as I mentioned, the key value prop now is to be able to create individual, original breakthrough ideas and innovation. And you can't do that unless you are able to focus. And when you focus, you can do exactly what you see on this screen. You can find original, creative, unique solutions. And that's the difference between mediocre earners and super earners in this new era of the individual. And when I think of thought leaders in this space, there's no one on this planet that's better skilled and disciplined than Darren Hardy, the publisher of Success Magazine and author of an amazing book called The Compound Effect, which I'd really recommend that you read. Now, let me share with you a little bit of my history with Darren. I've followed him for over 20 years, and now I think that he's really in his sweet spot. Now, the main part of his post at Success Magazine is to interview and then draw out the best ideas, the most amazing strategies and concept from the world's super achievers. People like Warren Buffett, the late great Steve Jobs, Sir Richard Branson, Donald Trump, Tony Hawks, Maria Shriver. I can go on and on and on. Now, not only does this Darren pull those concepts out and make sure that content is available in Success Magazine, but what he's done that I think has made the most difference on an individual level is that he takes that content now and delivers it through 3 brands that he's created. One is called the High Performance Forum, and that's where 24 CEOs are selected. These are all high-power CEOs, and he delivers the best of the best ideas and concepts to those CEOs, and they're able to then implement that in their businesses. And I was fortunate enough to be in the very first high performance forum that he did. Now, that was so successful that people encouraged him to do a high performance summit, which is a one-day event, again, compressing that content. That was so successful, it sold out. He did it for a year. Every one of them oversold. Everyone encouraged him, and I was one of them, encouraged him as well, to deliver the same content through a digital platform so that it can be made available to the masses. And let me tell you, the first day that he introduced it, he did it through a webinar. And the brand is what you see that's on the screen now. It's called Insane Productivity, which again was the inspiration for this blog series. He did a webinar to introduce it. There were 20,000 people registered for the webinar. He literally broke the webinar platform. There was so high demand. And the 500 spots that he made available for signing up for Insane Productivity were sold in, I think, something like 7 minutes. And so, again, I'm just saying this to say this is how powerful this content and how important productivity is. So I was fortunate enough to be one of those folks, of course, who got a spot. And that really inspired me then, as I'm going through the 12-week program, to then share my insights with you. And I'm going to do that every week. I'll share with you some key insights that I have from each one of the modules. So let me get started by sharing perhaps maybe the main point of module 1 and 2. And that is around, if our focus is on productivity, we first need to find out, well, what's killing our productivity? And what do you think it is? What do you think is the number one killer of productivity? Well, distractions. And there's three there's two that he covered, and then one that I would add. One is media. So social media, and that's Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. These are all great tools, but if we let them consume us, they become a distraction as opposed to being a tool. Of course, television, and the way television can kind of get in our minds and distract us from being able to be productive. Then also other people's requests. So people are well-meaning. They come to your office and they want your help and your opinion on things. And you can get easily wrapped up into playing hero and always being available to everyone else. But you can find at the end of the day that you didn't have enough time to implement your specific priorities. Remember, we talked about focus. And then the last area of distraction may come as a surprise to you, and that's our own minds. I don't know about you, but there's oftentimes that I'm supposed to be working on, let's say, a writing project for the next hour. And I'm working along, and then all of these other competing ideas or thoughts or worries begin to come into my mind. What am I going to do? What do I need to do when I get home? Or how could I have done that last call or meeting better? So not only are there external areas of distractions, but there's also internal. So with all these distractions, the question is, how do we mitigate them? So let's go back to module 1 and 2, and let me share with you some of the key insights that I gleaned from Darren's modules on how to deal with that number one productivity killer, distractions. Well, number one is to have a conviction that every day that you start, to be on an offense as opposed to defense. And what that means is to spend more time creating versus reacting. So how much time are you spending in your day actually creating versus reacting? Now, in order to be able to do that, we've got to learn how to concentrate. Now, your mind is just like any other muscle, right? If you don't work out, if you don't work your arms and your legs and your pec muscles, what happens? They atrophy, right? So it's the same thing with our mind. If we don't learn how to concentrate, our mind continues to be undisciplined, and it allows all those distractions to come in. So we need strategies to defend against that and to really learn how to train our minds and to maximize our concentration. I love this one that Darren talked about. It's called sprint and recovery. And his thought was, or his promise, and I'm going to try it this week, is that if you do this, you'll triple your productivity. What is sprint and recover? Well, it's just like world-class athletes. They're trained to work super hard in their training, but then for a period of time, but then make sure that you have rest and recovery. So resting is just as important as the time that you're really focused on training hard. And what that means in our world is to take 90-minute blocks of time where you put aside all distractions, make yourself unavailable, no phone calls, no emails, no text messages, where you're just focused on that project and commit to that. And then once you've completed that 90-minute time, now also schedule in some rest and recovery. That could be taking a nap. That could be making a couple phone calls to friends that you wanted to talk to. But again, there's fun. It needs to be rest and recovery. Or it could just be, taking a walk, but making sure that you have the recovery period as well. So now let me wrap up this blog post with a little wisdom from some of our great thinkers from the past. Darren gave us insights from today's best achievers. Let me season this with our great wisdom from teachers from the past. We have to set our intentions for each day. Once we've been able to implement the strategies that we gleaned from Darren's high productivity program, which is about eliminating those distractions, what do we do with that? Setting our intentions are what is key. Each and every day, our intentions are what guide our lives and determine our outcomes. And contrary to popular belief, no one else is responsible for our life and no one else is responsible for our outcomes. No, we are responsible for both. And that great thought leader, James Allen, author of As a Man Thinketh, may have said it best when he said, "The vision you set up in your mind and the ideal you enthrone in your heart, this you will live your life by, this you will become." So, as we move forward over the next 8 to 10 weeks, I'm going to be doing my part. I'll prepare my key insights that I get as I go through the Insane Productivity Program, and I'll deliver that to you, my insights, on this weekly blog. However, I got a better idea. It would be 10 times better if you joined me and took the program as well. And then we can share our ideas with each other and hold each other accountable. And if you have a team of people working for you or with you, I would encourage you to have them do it also. Now, here's some details. I promised you, the Wealth Triangle community, that I would be searching for and delivering tools. When I found tools that would help us strengthen our Wealth Triangle, that I would find those tools, consume them myself first, and then if I know they're good, I would offer them to you, and I would try to create an opportunity to get you discounts. I've done that with Insane Productivity. You heard me mention earlier that it was sold out in minutes. I've gained access to it through Darren. So there's a private web portal that has been set up for us from a referral perspective. And then I've also got you a gift card. So a $500 gift card that you can use to take off the cost of Insane Productivity. I will guarantee you it's going to blow your mind, just as it's blowing my mind. And if we do it together, I think it'll be that much more effective. So I hope you take advantage of that. If you click on the link that I provided, that should take you to the website. Make sure you input the promo code WARRIOR, and that will get you your discount. So thank you for joining part 1 of this blog series, and I'm looking forward to us spending this time together over the next few weeks. And until we see or talk to each other again, keep living your truth.